Hi, I'm the Smoking Elk, and today we are talking turkey. So a lot of you are thinking about or preparing to do turkey on the barbecue, maybe for the first time this year, or maybe it's a regular occurrence for you. So I just want to go through a few handy steps for how I cook my turkey. First of all, starting with the turkey. Now, in my view, you should always buy the best quality turkey that you can afford, one that's raised to a very high standard, very high welfare. I don't think there's any better than turkeys from herb-fed poultry. Now, these turkeys from herb-fed poultry are fed on a unique diet of 10 different herbs. So their diet is topped up, supplemented with 10 different herbs. The herbs happen to be a byproduct of a family member's other business, Herbs Unlimited. So rather than the herbs go to waste, compost, whatever, they are fed to chickens, to turkeys, like this one. The turkeys are raised to the highest possible standards. They're happy turkeys, they're free to roam the fields, topping up their diet with herbs, and it really does make for a unique and very tasty bird. So let's open this up, let's take a look at the turkey, and let's discuss how we're going to cook it. So this is the turkey. Skin is already nice and dry. It comes in a chilled box. It's been game hung, dry plucked and hand finished, so it really does result in a great turkey. Nice dry skin. We're aiming for good crispy skin. With that comes with these herbs, which are going to be good for stuffing, and there's also a little cooking guide there with a stuffing recipe. So I think we're going to cook this recipe, we're going to cook this stuffing using the herbs that came with it. So we're going to cook this stuffing recipe, but you've got a handy little cooking guide there. So let's show you how I prepare the turkey. So here's the turkey. Inside you get this handy little vacuum packed package with the giblets in that we're going to use towards the gravy. This turkey is already nice and dry, but the way I like to prepare any poultry, chickens, turkeys, is with a brine, and not a wet brine that you'd normally associate with turkey, but we're going to dry brine it. There's a lot to be said, dry brining versus wet brining. Wet brining is a lot of faff. You need a huge bucket to start with, you need to make your brine, you need a bucket big enough to fit your turkey in with all the brine, making sure it doesn't all spill out everywhere. And then once it's in the brine, you need to find somewhere, enough space in the fridge to keep the bucket to brine the turkey. And essentially, yes, your turkey will be juicier, but what you've done is actually added water to the turkey and diluted the flavour. The only molecules that get through from a wet brine is the salt, which is why we're going to dry brine with just salt. There is an interesting article that I'm going to put a link below to the Serious Eats website where they discuss dry brining versus wet brining, but I think once you read that and once you try this, you won't go back to wet brining. So dry brining essentially is adding salt to the skin. What happens is the salt draws out some of the moisture, but then that moisture is sucked back into the bird along with the salt, locking in the flavour, resulting in a juicier bird, a more flavoursome bird, and always nice crispy skin. So this is how I'm going to prepare my turkey. We're going to spatchcock it, so I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to get some salt on it, and then we're going to leave it for at least 24 hours, maybe 2 days, to let the salt do its magic before we cook. So let's go ahead and spatchcock this bird. What we're going to do, we're going to remove the backbone from the turkey, we're going to flatten it, and this results in a much more even cook and a quicker cook. And because it's even and quicker, it will result in a juicier bird, and that's what we're looking for. So first up, get yourself some poultry scissors. You can do this with a knife, but it is a lot easier with some poultry scissors, poultry shears. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut through the parson's nose and then along the backbone of the turkey. So it's a bit trickier spatchcocking a turkey than it is a chicken, as I'm sure you can appreciate, being a bigger bird. But you'll soon find yourself crunching through, and then when you come out the other side, we do the same again. That's one side done. And then again, find the other side of the backbone and just use your shears or your scissors to fight your way through. And once your backbone's out, you can either keep that and use it with the carcass at the end towards stock, or you can put it in with the giblets to make for a more flavoursome gravy, because we're going to roast the giblets in a stock under the turkey, and then we're going to turn that into some gravy. So that's your backbone removed. Also, I like to just trim this loose skin that you find at the end of the bird. So just cut that off. Don't need that. So just to make it easier when we flip it over and push it down, there's a little bone in here that we just want to nick through, just to make it easier to push through when we flip it over. It's not so difficult with a chicken because it's not quite as tough, but I find if you just snap that little bone, it's going to make it a lot easier. So we flip the bird over, we pull it apart like so, you can hear that crack, and then we're just going to push down like so, and that is it. That is our spatchcocked turkey. So now what we want to do is get the brine on, and I say brine, just salt. So we're going to grab some kosher salt, sprinkle it all over this, and then the key is to let it dry in the fridge, nothing covering it. You want an oven rack underneath, you want the air to circulate all around. That's going to result in giving us lovely crispy skin that we're after. So grab yourself a good pinch of salt, and then from a height just start to sprinkle that liberally all over. And you want to do it inside and out, legs, wings, get it all done. Again on the other side, good coating all over, being sure to cover every part of the bird, drumsticks, thighs, breast, wings, get it all done. If you aren't spatchcocking your turkey, I still recommend doing this dry brine, whether you're going to be cooking it on a rotisserie, in the oven, whether you're going to be cooking it whole. If you are doing it whole, get the salt inside the cavity as well as all over the bird. But I recommend this method. However you're going to be cooking your turkey, dry brine never fails. So that's that done. All we're going to do with that now is we're going to sit that on an oven rack in the fridge, uncovered, for at least 24 hours, up to 3 days. I think 24 hours to 2 days is the sweet spot. And then we're going to go ahead and get this bird cooked. So this is what our turkey looks like after 2 days in the brine. The skin is lovely and dry. The salt has gone. It's been soaking in, taken in by the turkey. And all we're going to do now is just hit it with a tiny bit of oil, just for our herb rub to adhere to. Don't have to overdo it. You don't need too much, just enough for those herbs to sit on that skin. This is a game hung and hand plucked bird, so you will get some of these little bits of feather left, but they're going to fizzle up once we get this in to the Kamado Joe and get it cooked. Now the next thing I'm going to do is hit it with some of this Kamado Joe Big Fish seafood seasoning. You might think that seafood seasoning is a bit of a strange one to be using on turkey, but honestly, trust me, the flavours in this I've cooked chicken with, and honestly, it's a match made in heaven. I mean, it's a lemon pepper flavoured seasoning. I mean, you've got salt, you've got onion, you've got lemon, you've got orange, black pepper, fennel, celery, salt. I mean, all the flavours that this turkey is going to absolutely love. So we're going to go ahead and put some of this over the turkey. So that is our turkey ready to cook. So we've got the Kamado Joe Big Joe dialed in at about 190 Celsius. We're using the slow roller for this cook. So we're just going to go ahead. We've got one chunk of cherry that we're going to be using. We don't want to overpower the turkey, but poultry does love a bit of cherry. So we're just going to sit that in there, pop that back on, slow roller in place. Going to go ahead, put the divide and conquer system in there, and then on the accessory rack we're going to sit this stock. Remember, we kept the backbone from the turkey and these giblets, So we've got about a litre of stock just going in there, because we want to keep the drippings from the turkey. If there's no stock in here, the drippings are just going to hit that and dry up. So we're going to sit that underneath, and then hopefully these are going to sit on top. There we go. I didn't actually measure that beforehand, so that was a bit of a fluke. So that is set up, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and pop this spatchcocked turkey over the stock, and away we go. So while the turkey's cooking away and smelling pretty damn delicious, I might add, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make this chestnut and apple stuffing using sausage meat. So to start with, we've melted some butter and we're just gently sweating down a finely diced onion until that's soft. To this, we're going to chuck in, we've got about 180 grams of finely chopped chestnuts. These were bought in a packet, and tin chestnuts are just as good. Just drain them and chop them. So we're going to go ahead and get those in, about 150 grams. And we've also got some finely diced Bramley apple. This is about 2 apples made to a nice fine dice. This is going to make enough stuffing for the whole family. Plenty for seconds as well for your turkey and stuffing sandwiches over the Christmas period. Now we're just going to remove this from the heat, and to that we've got about a tablespoon of each of some rosemary, thyme and sage, and we've got the zest of a lemon. So we're just going to take this off the heat and add in the herbs, and again just give that a good mix to incorporate, and then we're just going to let this cool. Once it's cool, come back and I'll show you how we're going to form our stuffing. We have been cooking for about 2.5 hours. The meter is telling me it's done, and oh boy, that is looking good. So we're just going to check the temperature with a thermal pen into the thickest part of the breast. We're at 71, 72, but look at this lovely crispy skin. Lovely bit of colour on there. That skin is crisp. The meat inside is going to be absolutely beautiful, tender and juicy. In here you've got all those juices from the turkey. And you can see why we needed to have the stock in there in the first place, because that would have dried up. But these juices here we are going to add to our stock, and that is going to make for some damn fine gravy. Let's get this turkey rested, let's get the gravy made, let's get the stuffing done. Happy days. So, on to the stuffing. So to our mix, I'm going to add some sausage meat. Use your hands, that's the best way. Next, breadcrumbs. This is just an almost stale loaf of bread that I had. This is about 150 grams of breadcrumbs. And lastly, an egg to bind and then season with plenty of salt and pepper. All we've done, take the mix it into a ball, and then you can fry these to sear them off and then bake them, or you can just bake them straight away. We're going to fry and then put them in the Kamado Joe to finish cooking. Once we've made our stuffing balls, we form the balls, we're just going to pop them in the pan, and we're going to give these a quick sear, brown them on all sides, and then we're going to pop them in the Kamado Joe, or obviously if you're using an oven, pop them in the oven. Starting to get a lovely colour on these now. So try and get a nice even sear. These are nearly ready to pop into the Kamado Joe. The turkey's done and resting. The stuffing balls are in the Kamado Joe. Last but not least is the gravy. So for the gravy, we've reserved all these funky bits from the drip tray from under the turkey. So all this is flavour that we're going to add to our gravy. So first up we need to make a roux. So we've got about 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm just going to melt that down. To the butter we add about 3 tablespoons of flour, being sure to stir constantly. Don't want any lumps, we want to form a nice smooth roux. So just keep stirring that in. Okay, so to this I'm going to gradually add some stock. Constantly stirring again to make sure it doesn't go lumpy. You can see it starts to thicken instantly. So just add stock bit by bit. And then we're going to add in these lovely drippings from the turkey. And then continue to add in the stock while stirring constantly. And you can see the more stock we're adding, the more we're starting to get that gravy consistency that we're after. So we've got some herbs, fresh herbs, got some sage and a bit of thyme. So we're going to add those in there. We are going to be straining this after because it has got the gnarly bits from the roasting tin. So get the herbs in there just to infuse a little bit more flavour. Of course, some cracked black pepper and some salt. And again, just stirring so you've got the consistency that you're after. And all we're going to do is take a sieve and just, you don't have to do this, but just to filter out the bits that we don't want from the bottom of that drip pan. They've done their bit now, they've given us the flavour we're after. The herbs have done their bit. That is some beautiful looking gravy. Stuffing balls are done, so we're just going to take those off, ready to serve. We are done. Beautiful crispy skin. This has been resting for about 45 minutes now. Just look at the gravy. Some cheeky roasties. That beautiful, beautiful turkey. Lovely bit of colour on there. Slightly charred. There is a tiny bit of sugar in the rub that we used. But that is just going to add to the flavour when we slice in. We want nice, even slices of the breast. So each bit gets a bit of that lovely crispy skin, and there is the stuffing. So let's dig in. So first things first, we're going to slice in. Look at that, yeah, listen to that crispy skin. So it's going to take these wings away from the breast. Look at that, how juicy that is. It's going to be beautiful. The skin is proper crispy. So let's get in and nip one of these breasts off. Sorry guys, had a bit of a camera issue there, ran out of battery. I just wanted to show you just how juicy that turkey is there. The light's a bit bad out here, so I'm having to use artificial light, but I hope you can see just how juicy that is. Absolutely beautiful. Sorry guys, slight camera malfunction there, had to change the battery, then the camera wouldn't focus, but as you've just seen, the turkey is lovely and juicy. We're going to go ahead and dip it into this lovely gravy that we've made. Oh yes. One more taste just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. That absolutely beautiful turkey. Anyone that says turkey is dry at Christmas hasn't had a well-raised turkey from herb-fed poultry. Delicious, juicy, crispy skin because of the method we used. Absolutely banging. Let's try one of these stuffing balls that we've made. Again, nice and juicy in there. Let's have a taste. Pleasant surprise. Really, really tasty. Nice and soft and juicy. Not normally a fan of chestnuts, There's a slight taste of it in there, but it actually complements the apple and the pork well. It's my turkey. Hope you found it useful. Please give me a like, give me a follow, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week.